It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
I see dead people.
Hot shit.
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
We have such sights to show you.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
Fuck you too!
It's just a camp thing.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
You ever have a camp thing?
I actually do. I remember very vividly having a camp thing when I was younger. My family loved to pawn me off to a Christian Bible camp. Really, it was just full of negligent teenagers.
Yeah.
Too horny for their Bibles.
Absolutely.
I definitely remember sneaking out of my cabin a handful of times to go talk to the girls.
Oh, bro, I snuck out of the cabin with the counselors at a Christian Bible camp.
That's even more legendary.
No
I was
part of it.
I was just going to kiss a girl's face, you know?
Well, you know, there was some of that, but mostly at the Christian Bible camp, I stayed abstinent on my own behalf. It wasn't because I wanted to, but it was more that I was just I just wasn't there.
You were a tyke? You were a tiny boy?
Not even that.
Oh, okay.
No, I just sucked.
Just out of choice.
No, not out of choice. I just sucked.
So believe it or not, one of my friends that I actually met at this Bible camp that I went to when I was fucking 13 is actually a friend of mine on this show.
Oh, that's cool. Who is
it? After 10 years of not talking to him, I found out he had a YouTube, and I loved his stuff.
Yeah.
So I messaged him and I said, "Get on my show," and he agreed to it. He lives in Georgia now. And
what's he doing down there?
Just working.
Dude, why in Georgia though? I'm working.
I don't know, man. I don't know whose life leads them down to the Devil's Coast. But,
absolutely.
But
Devil's Coast.
But we reconnected after 12 years, and his episodes are great. It's a shout out to Ramses Vanderslice. He's a solid guy. Our first episode
that's my favorite pizza shop, by the way.
Ramses Vanderslice.
Yeah.
When I knew I was having him back on the show, the first episode I read with him, and the first story was called this one time at Bible camp, and the story was called Bible Camp, and I had to read it with him. Of all people, I had to read that story with. Shout out to Ramses Vanderslice.
Cheers.
He's up to his 4th or 5th episode so far. He was a new guest in season, I want to say season 4 somewhere. And he just recently came on and he did a 2-parter with me. So shout out to The Showers. That was a fun series. Literally only 10 episodes ago. So
Ramsey, if you're looking for a sofa, man, I got you. Come up to my store.
You're going to have to ship it down to him.
Well, we don't do shipping.
We do handling.
Yeah.
We don't do shipping.
We handle the sofas. We handle them. We don't ship them. It's too dangerous, and they're only shelf stable for so long. So,
we get you on a sofa schedule. We get you on a sofa subscription.
Yeah,
where a new one just shows up at your house.
Oh yeah, it's like a monthly. Yeah, it's like a monthly. Every month you get a different sofa. You do have to ship the old one back again. We don't do shipping, so you gotta do that back yourself. We won't pay for it.
No, we don't pay for it. We don't pay for anything. You pay out the ass for every single extra. And like I said, we don't do shipping. What we do is handling.
Yeah, well, what you can do
is... the couch is going to show up in whatever structure it's going to show up in.
Which is usually edible. I like to...
you did say that before.
At some point. Yeah, who knows? But no, what I like to recommend is you get a UPS shipping label. Just pay for that, and we'll slap it on there.
And maybe it gets to you.
Right. Well, I can't guarantee it. You do have to pay in advance. Don't do payment plans because, again, the sofas are not shelf stable. Usually,
You really sold me on this. It might be the wine talking, but you really sold me on this.
well, in vino veritas, as they say.
Who says that?
They do.
They do. Who's they?
They, Carl the Couch and Crisscross.
Okay,
Crisscross
right.
was very into wine. It's a surprising turn for his career. He's a sommelier now. You haven't heard much from Crisscross, have you?
I don't even know who Crisscross is.
Well, he's now going by Christopher Cross, and he is a sommelier down in the Burbank area. So give him a shout, Christopher Cross.
Christopher Cross,
The sommelier. What a guy.
What a guy indeed.
What a guy. This has really turned. We had a much more serious talk at the beginning of the last episode.
The beginning of our episodes always seem to take like a small turn somewhere else, and it's usually because of all the substances that we're abusing all at once.
Indeed.
You aren't smoking anymore.
I'm not smoking today.
You're not smoking anymore. No. Was there a reason for that?
Well, I'm smoking, but I'm doing it a little more sparingly, you know?
Oh, you're taking it back a little bit.
I'm reeling it back.
Well, I'm not. So I hope I apologize beforehand.
Oh, no, absolutely. I say the more the merrier. In Bongo Berrytas. We're going to go with that.
Bongo Berrytas.
Bongo Berrytatas. I hate that. I really do. I apologize to the listener, to myself, to my beautiful wife, the
Are you
sofa
from like
queen.
Boston? Are you doing like a Boston thing? Like a Boston? I don't
know. I don't know what this is. I really don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of like upstate Pennsylvania as well.
I was just in both
a mayor
places.
of Easttown, like a mayor of Easttown type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a cup of 2 or 3 beers.
You're not going to pin me down, but I was just in both places.
You were in Boston and you were in upstate PA?
In the last 2 weeks, yes.
So you're all kinds of fucked.
I really
is what you're
am.
trying to say.
I really am. I went up to Boston with my father-in-law for a normal weekend.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
He's a good guy. He's a wild and crazy kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine the fun you got up to being totally normal dudes.
Absolutely. Well, I really like this voice that I'm doing, and I'm going to keep it. We'll see.
You say that. You continue doing you.
Well, all right. We didn't get a chance to go to Fenway, but I drove out there afterwards. We had some pasta. Mm-hmm. We bought some weed.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Some triple chocolate chip.
Okay.
I got some. What did I get? Lilac diesel.
Okay.
It's supposed to be pretty good. He got some mac and cheese.
Did you not try it?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I'm just,
You're just saying that it's pretty good.
Well, it is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Had it.
I'm just checking. I'm checking you.
I'm in and out on the weed,
Okay.
I'm in and out. So
I don't think you smoked last time, so it's the only reason I asked.
Well, I get a little, I don't know. I'd rather, since we're doing a 2-parter today, I'd rather not smoke because I get a little off topic.
Get a little tired, get a little zany. I think with a little bit of wine, we'll coast off a little bit of a $30 bottle of wine.
A $30 bottle of wine. You know what you gotta do? You really gotta put your whole nose in the cup.
What you gotta do is you gotta take this is for all the listeners. This is for all the guests out there. Do as Captain does. We're gonna take a hit, but we're gonna hold it in. We're gonna sip some wine and then we're gonna exhale. Because we're looking to get fucked.
In Bongo Berrytas.
In Bongo Berrytas.
You have to yell it. Congratulations.
In Bongo Berrytas. So yeah,
That's what they say.
it's what they say.
It's what
so
they
it's
say.
what we say as well.
It's what we say.
So I hope everyone is enjoying their nights so far. This episode is pre-recorded. It's coming out while I am out of the state. So I'm glad to do this and kind of have the time to hunker down and do something meaty, because I was a little bit worried because I'm traveling next week when this episode comes out. So getting to do this ahead of time is really, thank you, sir. And
It's no problem.
Yeah, you just kind of showed up out of the blue. You were like, "Hey, man, what are you doing? I need to get the fuck out of here."
I didn't say it quite like that.
No, he said, "Please come help me, please. I've been
Captain.
been tied up, and I've been taken advantage of.
It's
And
been holding me down.
I need someone to rescue me." And it wasn't even from his wife. His wife was just watching.
Yeah.
She was just there as like a supporting passenger to the experiment.
You know what? It was more that she let it happen.
Yeah. No, she's a what's
Hey,
the
we're
word?
married, by the way.
Dude,
I'm married
you
to my
have
wife.
a wife?
I'm married to my wife.
Dude, hey.
Hey,
Hey,
cheers.
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 In Bongo Berry time. This is gonna be our new hot tamales.
In Bongo Berrytas. Yeah. No, just you know, and it's not even. I love my mother-in-law, I do, and
You don't have to actually talk about it.
I'm gonna talk about it
I'm
because
gonna
I
cut
feel
it.
like
I'm gonna cut it.
all right, because all right,
I don't want your wife to actually listen and feel bad.
because she will. And I don't want her to feel bad. She's myself a queen. But, you know, yeah, all right, yeah, cut it.
So here we are in Bongo
Here we are.
Berry test.
In Bongo Berrytas.
And I'm already enjoying where this episode is going.
Me too.
Because we're about to read. We were talking about it. We were talking about it
Without you.
and then got completely derailed. No, we mentioned it. We mentioned it earlier in the recording already.
Wait, what?
That we are doing a story about like camp. Like we're doing camps.
Oh my god.
The reason I was
did.
talking about camps is because we're going to camp.
Wait. I have some sort of
Childish
amnesia going on,
Gambino's
right?
first album.
Oh my god. He's a sommelier now. Didn't you hear?
Shit.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're going camp.
We're going to camp.
Going to camp.
You have some fond memories of camp.
I
have
do.
some fond memories of camp.
Were you ever like a camp counselor at all? You ever do any of that?
No.
I did.
I was I did an acting. I was like it wasn't a sleepaway camp. I did like an acting
Oh, like an
assistant.
intensive kind of thing.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, like
I'm not
for little
listening.
kids,
Yeah.
little kids who wanted to like act and sing and dance. I was like a co-instructor
Oh, that's pretty cool.
to a director of sorts.
Nice.
I did that once, and it was awful, so I never went back.
Right.
Anyway, we all have fun time. Did you ever do any counselorship?
Oh, yes.
You counselor?
Yeah, for a couple
at
of
this
years.
religious camp that you went to? At a different camp.
At a music camp.
Music camp. So you also did the music camp.
I went
But this
to...
was this like actual music? Like
Yeah.
played music? Oh.
Now, I did, the vocal aspect of things was a little bit less up there, but that's what I did. The first year I went, I was awful, and I didn't have any training, and the teacher
Perfect.
basically like kicked my ass and was like, hey,
yeah.
you gotta take lessons. And the next year I took lessons. It wound up going a lot better. I went to college for it, so I went back, and over the summer, I went to the same college that one of the teachers at the camp worked at. I went to the same college as her, so she was kind of like, she was a saxophone teacher. She was kind of a mentor to me, and we worked at, she told me to come work at the camp over the summer, and so I did.
Does she know you're married now?
She does.
She knows you have a wife.
She met my wife.
Okay.
She met my wife. Actually,
Just making sure. Hey,
my
hey,
grandfather.
Sofa Queen, I'm just making sure.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Listen, my sofa queen, you're so beautiful.
You don't
I
need to
love you
talk to
so
her.
much. I
You
love
don't
you.
need to talk to her.
Wait, okay, all right, perfect.
Every episode is dedicated to you. Anyway.
Thank you. Every episode.
No, just yours.
Oh, just mine. Okay.
No, like the five
right.
that exist, not the other 300.
Okay. All right. I feel like that's fair.
I was joking at first, but now I'm being deadly serious.
It's just mine. Okay. All right.
In Bongo Veritas.
In Bongo Veritas. Yeah, so I counseled there. Story? I counseled there for 2 years. It wound up just being like I was just an asshole college student, and
yeah,
you know that's who you are at that point in your life.
Were you fucking around? Were you like going to this camp and just having a good time, or was it serious?
Yeah, I was just fucking around.
So that's what camp is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
I hope that's the vibe we get into with this episode, because in the last one it was actual Bible camp.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny to read about something being totally serious in that type of context.
We need some Wet Hot American Summer in the mix here.
We need some good.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking the other story I read about at camp was about a fat camp, and it was really sad and scary.
Yeah, let's
So I don't want to go in that direction.
No, I don't mind it being scary. I love some good camp stories.
What source is this from? Where did I grab this story? Oh, this is a creepypasta.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, so that means it might get kitschy.
Cool. I love it.
It might get hammy.
I love that.
It might be poorly written.
That sounds great.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Anyway, what other fun experiences have I had at camp? Is there any?
Do you have any like ghost stories or anything from the camp?
Yeah, they up where I went to that camp, they used to talk about the watermelon kids.
Okay.
In that boony area of like mid Pennsylvania, Pocono, Pennsylvania. You know the story of these like inbred little pale kids with these huge heads.
Expand.
Just these. So apparently, if you drove down this specific street in like Pennsylvania, just in some suburb, there was this town, or there was this house that was like off like a dirt road in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it was just like owned by these inbred parents who just like had a bunch of these kids, and they all had like weird deformities, but it was mostly that their bodies were like misshapen, so they called them like the watermelon kids.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. And for some reason, one of these kids at this fucking camp I went to just always loved to tell this story of like this like watermelon baby, you know, like this kid with like a huge fucking head. And I was just like, this isn't scary at all. In fact, this is really stupid. But
it's like a Gushers situation.
It is, he ate like one really bad pack of Gushers and it stuck.
There are no watermelon Gushers, are there?
Yes, there are. There absolutely are.
What?
But what I'm saying is, the impression stuck, because here I am, like 20 years later, telling the story online to a bunch of people who are listening, and that is the power of storytelling, people. Some fuckhead 13-year-old thought it would be funny while I was around a campfire when I was like 10. To tell a stupid fucking story, and now I'm here telling the same stupid fucking story. It's like the showers. Shout out.
Now, I won't scare you too much, noble listener, but beware of Shovel Man. Keep your eyes peeled.
What was Shovel Man doing? Like Home Alone?
He was just whacking people with shovels, man.
Like chopping their heads off?
Sure.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Every counselor told it different.
Okay.
They just, the dude lived up in the mountains.
Yeah.
He would come down from the mountains.
What was he shoveling?
Graves.
Graves. Oh, shit.
Some say he still lives up in those mountains where you live.
We need graves, you know?
You know what?
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
For those that choose to go in that direction.
So many people die. Like, it's crazy.
What's this phrase? Nothing certain but death and taxes.
Nothing lasts forever. But death and taxes.
No, that's not it at all, but I'll take it. We need graves, though. We need someone who's good at digging holes. The problem is,
Taking up
the
them
problem is, if he is double dipping on his own funds and putting the bodies in them,
he's never going to be.
He's putting himself out of business.
He's working so hard.
It's like a guy who makes sofas and just sells them for nothing.
Well, I don't sell them for nothing. They're very expensive. They're very, very in right now. I'm looking to get published in a couple of magazines, but
so anyway,
nothing in particular.
So anyway,
Anyway.
we're gonna jump into a story from Creepypasta, and apparently it's a bunch of parts. So I think we'll just switch off on parts.
Yeah, man.
It's an interesting title. I think it doesn't really give too much away. It's kind of stereotypical in nature. Something strange is going on at Camp Oakwood. Well, I definitely didn't go to a Camp Oakwood.
I certainly didn't either.
But something strange, like the counselor is
The
sneaking
watermelon
out
kids.
The watermelon kids are fucking shovel man for more
For
holes
money.
in the ground.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
I thought they were being extortionists, and then you were actually making them extortionists.
Yes.
That's fair.
I'm in a weird place right now.
Welcome to Lotsa Pasta. We're gonna put you in a weird place right now.
I really hope you enjoy this, everybody. Bongo Veritas.
Bongo Veritas. Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
Why don't you kick it off?
Okay. Work at Camp Oakwood looking for maintenance staff, no experience needed. Okay, so right off the bat, we're not the kids at this camp.
No.
We're someone who works there, which is a different perspective. The ad stuck out like a sore thumb on the wall at a coffee shop I frequented. It was also new, given that I was at the coffee shop the previous day and the poster wasn't there. At the time, I was unemployed and living at home with my parents, so every time I would go to the coffee shop, I would browse the wall in search of jobs I could possibly obtain. Of course, there wouldn't be any big paying jobs available, big money, but I hoped there would be something appealing. And in the middle of that wall was a poster about a summer camp located many hours away from home. I don't know why. Perfect. I don't know why it piqued my interest, though. It was probably the aspect of me being able to get away from home. A job like that would let me live somewhere without my folks. It sounded luxurious to me. It also paid decently well, so after thinking over it a bit while sipping my fucking douchey-ass medium fucking venti latte with syrup and cum, I decided to take the poster off the wall and bring it home. I took the entire thing. It does. Yeah. The shop allowed that, of course. I wasn't going to steal anything I wasn't supposed to take. As I walked out of the coffee shop, I noticed a blonde-haired lady, and I took her, staring at me from the opposite side of the street. And once I noticed her, we stared at each other for a few more seconds. Then she began walking away. Great storytelling.
Right?
I found it odd and a little creepy, but didn't harp on it and walked home. I arrived home and watched TV for a few hours. After binge watching a show, I decided to call the phone number on the poster, and after a few rings, someone picked up.
Hello?
A female voice said, "Hi, is this Camp Oakwood?" I asked.
Yes, it is.
She answered.
Are you calling today to register your child as a member?
Oh no, I said. I'm actually calling about your ad, looking for employees. I wanted to apply as a janitor.
Oh, our online ad?
No, it was a poster in a coffee shop in my town.
Huh. Well, we don't print many ads, but we put some up from time to time.
It's like Roz's.
That's exactly what I was going for. Oh, God.
She then asked me for my phone number, email, and asked a few questions.
Took a long time.
I told her basic information about myself. After answering them, she told me when I would need to show up to start working. It's just, this guy is just he's just going right for it.
Yeah.
I was confused, and I asked her what she meant.
Yeah.
She said,
You're hired. We need people.
Wait, So I don't need to do a background check or something like that, I asked.
Nope. I believe everything you told me. She said.
She said.
You're hired.
After a few seconds of shock, I became ecstatic. That's great, I said in disbelief. When do I start?
You will need to come in May 26th for orientation and training, and the first camp will start the following week. The camp has 1 6-week sessions, and you'll be working each one. You will be one of our 4 janitorial / maintenance employees. I am... Oh, God. She's gonna be here the whole time. I am your overhead boss, but your supervisor will be Graham. He's head of the maintenance staff. God, I hate that I have to do this voice the whole time.
Cool. Thank you for hiring me.
You are absolutely welcome. I believe you'll do a great job. If you have any more questions, you know where to contact me. Welcome to the Oakwood family.
It is perfect in its own kind of way. Just as she was about to hang up, I realized I hadn't even given my name. During the entirety of the questioning and introductions, we both had not given our names. Wait, I never got your name, I said.
Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry, my name is Amy Garlania, and I'm the camp director.
Okay, I said. My name is Harrison Tracy, which is a made-up name. I then heard a thump and her gasp.
Oh!
You all right? I asked.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I just banged my elbow on the desk. Yeah, well, I can't wait to meet you, Harrison. See you soon.
I hung up the phone with mixed emotions. While grateful that I had found a job, I found it perplexing that I was hired so quickly. I figured there was more to it, but at the moment, I was just too grateful and exited to really worry about it.
I exited so I didn't have to worry about it.
That night, I told my parents about my new job. My mom was thrilled to hear that I would finally have a good-paying job, but my dad practically spat out his food.
Curtis, you okay?
My mom asked. Yeah, I'm fine, honey, he said, grabbing a napkin to clean his mouth. You're working at Camp Oakwood? Yeah, I said. It pays really well, and I heard it's an easy job. Sorry for my reaction, Harrison, he said. I haven't heard that name in a long time. That's because I worked there myself many years ago as a counselor. Really? I asked him, to which he nodded. No. I proceeded to ask him some questions, but he seemed very hesitant to answer them. After failing to get anything, I went back to my room. Later that night, I heard my parents talking in their bedroom. They were trying to whisper, but I could still hear a decent amount of their conversation. Just let me put it in just once, just this once, right in the rear.
Oh my God, we did this 2 weeks ago.
He can't go, my dad said. That's the place I told you about.
We don't know if that is.
My mom responded.
The camp started long before he was born. Nothing's gonna happen. If something does, he can handle himself. After all, he has before.
They went back and forth for a while. I honestly had no clue what they were talking about. I guess my dad must have had some bad memories from that place or something. When the time came, I packed up my stuff, told my parents goodbye, and headed off to Camp Oakwood.
Mother, father, goodbye. I've gone to camp.
Amy told me I would be living in a 2-story housing wing located about 50 yards away from the main camp. There were 4 apartments, 2 on each floor. 2 or 3 employees would live in each one. The counselors would be sleeping in the cabins with the campers, so that left the nurses, cooks, and maintenance staff inside the wing. There were 11 of us, 3 nurses, 4 cooks, and 4 janitors.
So I had
11. I had a 1/4 chance of getting a 2-person apartment. I didn't really care, but I crave privacy, so I was hoping for the best option.
So they know probability.
I must have been lucky, because I got the 2-person room.
Way to go.
When I arrived, someone was inside unpacking. He was a pretty young guy, maybe a bit older than me. I'm 21, but very muscular. I made my way in to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Harrison, I said.
Julio.
He said.
Nice to meet you.
I guess you're my roommate. I'm new here, so I don't know who else is here besides you and Amy. Julio chuckled, and then he said,
Same. At least I'm not alone.
Before I could speak again, I heard someone walk in. I turned to see a larger dude. Older, with a Santa Claus-style beard and tinted glasses.
Julio? Harrison?
He said, his deep voice bellowing. We both said,
Yeah? I'm Graham. I'm in charge of you guys. I just wanted to come by and introduce myself.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, I said.
And you guys as well.
Graham said. He then pointed to a guy pulling things out of a white truck before introducing himself as Carson, the 4th and final maintenance worker. Carson just waved to us and continued on what we were doing. Do we start work today? I asked.
No, but I will be showing you around. Basically, you will be doing and the like. I'll be next door to y'all with Carson and one of the cooks. I'll come back in half an hour.
Then he left. Like he said, Graham returned 30 minutes later.
Hey guys, I'm back. All right, guys, follow me.
Accompanying Graham was Carson. Now closer, I could get a better look at him. He was old as well, but skinny and bald. He didn't say anything or acknowledge us in the slightest, so I assumed he wasn't a social butterfly. He was a cocky cocoon. Graham led us to a large golf cart, and we all hopped in. As we drove off, Graham began speaking.
Okay, so our job's pretty basic. We clean every building 3 times a week, take out the trash, dust the rooms, get rid of any infestations of any kind, mold, mice, lard, anything that comes into the house. We also take care, absolutely, we also take care of the nature aspect, so lawn care, trees, etc. The last day of each session is a party day, so we also set up decorations, props, and other kiddie stuff.
He went on.
You'll love it.
He went on about how when we clean the cabins, we have to make sure we put every bag and piece of furniture back into place. We also had to keep an eye out for wild animals, as they could be dangerous to the campers.
So we're janitors, maintenance staff, and security guards?
Julio asked jokingly.
Basically.
Graham said before bellowing aloud. He showed us several of the... This is a long story, and you are way devoted to these voices.
We're gonna make it happen.
He showed us several of the activity areas during our drive. This was an archery station, a swimming pool, the lake with a large rope swing, a playground, an open field, a basketball court, a sand volleyball court,
wow,
and a rec center with ping pong tables, air hockey,
playing with the boys,
and a foosball table. There was also a small building that Graham said was a chapel, a chapelle, but he said it was never used because those are for nerds, and we wouldn't need to worry about it.
I'm still surprised Amy was able to get all this situated in just 2 years.
That was Graham. The Santa Claus voice.
He said it quietly.
Oh, Graham said it quietly. So he had to,
I'm still surprised Amy was able to get all this situated in 2 years, so it's loud but quiet, you know?
I just got checked. What do you mean, I asked.
We had to move camps 3 years ago because the city bought us out.
Graham said, knowing he'd have to explain now since I heard it.
That's good. That's good storytelling. Eminent domain. Why did they buy it all out? Don't know.
Julio was.
Y'all know it was Julio.
It was Julio, I know. I thought his response was odd, but I didn't ask anything afterwards. After driving around some more, Graham took us to the main lodge. The counselors were already there, and the cooks were in the kitchen cooking dinner. Graham told us to mingle with the new counselors so we could at least know who we were working with for the next 7 weeks. Julio and I split off to meet the others individually. Fuck that guy. Most of the counselors were teenagers, with only a few being about my age and some being older than that. However, I was immediately made very uncomfortable by the ones I met. Every time I would introduce myself, they would just stare in astonishment at me. It was as if they were staring at an elite celebrity making a surprise appearance. Some of them would even walk up to me and just stare, not saying anything.
It's creepy as fuck.
After being made thoroughly uncomfortable, I went into the bathroom and hid until it was time to eat dinner. I sat in the far back corner of the room, away from everyone else. However, even as I ate, I still felt eyes on me. After we ate our food, Amy got in the front of the room and began to speak. It was actually then that I finally saw her in person. She was a middle-aged woman, maybe my parents' age, with gray-streaked black hair wrapped in a ponytail and a face that matched her age. She told us that she was glad we had decided to work and return to work for the camp, and that she was excited for another great summer. After speaking for a few more minutes, we were dismissed for the night. I ended up staying back to talk to Amy about the counselors acting weird around me.
Well, you and Julio are the only new employees this summer,
Amy said.
We usually don't get that many new employees, so they are probably just surprised to see someone new.
But whenever I said my name, that's when they began to act weird, I said. She just looked at me, not saying a word.
Nothing. Oh.
What? I asked.
Nothing. Look, just don't worry about it. If you're still uncomfortable, go back to your apartment.
With that, she walked away. I was so confused and actually a little concerned, but I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was right. The counselors might be just really weird people. I walked back by myself to the apartment, but as I was passing the Chappelle, something caught my eye. I walked up to stoop and looked through the window on the door. Inside, there was a small light flickering at the far end of the room. I could see the outline of someone kneeling on the ground, their back facing me. I knelt down and put my ear up to the door to listen, and I began to hear whispering. Dear Savior, I have discovered it, and I will do it. This is what you've wanted. I'm so excited to meet you. I then began to hear crying. But not of pain or despair, rather it was crying of joy. Then he began whispering again. We won't let you down. I won't let you down. We'll all be at peace soon. Creeped out, I decided it was time to go.
Good call.
But when I got up and looked inside, I nearly pissed myself. The figure was now right against the door, looking out the window, staring at me with any angry look on his face. I recognized it to be Carson. I bolted back to the apartment and was thankfully not followed by Carson. Once inside, I slammed the door behind me, scaring Julio half to death.
You good?
He asked. Yeah, some dude just scared me on the way back. Just popped out at me from the bushes, I lied.
Probably one of those counselors, huh?
He snickered. That's not funny, I said. Wait, how did you find out?
I could see how uncomfortable you were. Plus, couldn't help but notice that they were constantly staring at you.
I didn't respond and just went to our shared bedroom to go to sleep, only to wake up at an unknown time. I heard voices coming from outside my window. I peeked through the blinds to see Amy talking with Graham and Carson.
I'm telling you, it's him,
Amy said. And I discovered how to finally perform it, Carson said. It's almost time.
Look, whether...
Do the Santa Claus.
I don't... Look.
Yep.
Look, whether it's him or not, I don't care.
Graham said.
He's still my employee, and for all you know, he could be an innocent guy. The last thing we need is for another innocent person being attacked by one of your employees. I'll make sure once again it's him. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I'll figure something out. I still question why I let you work here if you don't agree with our beliefs. You told me your reason when I was hired. Besides, you wouldn't be able to let me go without me being a threat to your safety.
They kept talking, but I stopped listening. It's boring.
Yeah, this sucks.
This is gay.
Yeah,
horrified, I
so
quietly
boring.
sauntered back to my bed and curled up in a ball under the blankets. Julio, thankfully, didn't wake up from me moving around. Somehow, I managed to fall back asleep and woke up the next morning. At breakfast, I was eating my food when I noticed that 10 of the counselors at another table were again taking glances at me. Every few seconds, one of them would look my way. At that point, I had enough and walked over and confronted them. "What do you want?" I asked. None of them responded to me. "Really?" I asked angrily. "You stare at me, and when confronted, you have nothing to say?" Before they even got to say anything, I felt someone grab my shoulder. I turned to see Amy looking at me with a stern look on her face.
What's going on here?
"These guys have been staring at me for the last 10 minutes, I said annoyingly. I asked them what the problem was, but they refused to answer me. She sighed again before speaking.
I'll deal with them. Sit back down and eat. I don't need any more shit starting because of you, Harrison.
How is this my fault? I asked her, only to get no response as she walked away. I'd had enough, and decided to throw my food away and walk back toward my apartment. During my walk, I passed by the Chapelle again. Given that it was now daytime, I decided to get a better look at this place. As I looked around the room, I saw a large painting of a man. The man was pretty tall. He was pretty and tall. Pretty tall.
Pretty tall.
He was body stocky and his
body stocky.
His body stocky and built. He appeared to be in his 30s, if not a little younger. He was shirtless, and in his left hand was a red book. Below the painting was a word in blue letters. I assumed it was his name, but I never heard of his name before. It said Sharino, which is Sharrino. It's really dumb looking.
Sharino.
I was so intrigued by the painting that I didn't even notice someone had walked up to me. It's Graham.
What are you doing?
Someone asked. I slowly turned to see Graham standing there. Just looking in there, I said nervously.
Okay. Again, there's no point in going in there. Besides, I don't get their obsession with this guy.
What are you talking about?
The people here dedicate this entire place to this guy who the camp is named after. He's remembered as a hero.
What did he do?
War hero.
That's it?
Yup. Now come on. I want to show you where the shed with all the lawn equipment in it.
We walked off, me still feeling very weirded out by everything here. Camp hasn't even started yet, but I already regret coming here. What have I gotten myself into?
Da, 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 da.
God damn.
Alright, yeah, he's a war hero.
Scooby-Doo shit.
Alright, now come to this spooky equipment with all this spooky shed with all this equipment in it.
Do you want to take over as narrator and I'll read everyone else, or do you want to keep doing what we're doing?
I think that you should give everybody new voices.
You could take over as narrator.
Take over, yeah, we'll do that.
Narrator and I saids. Whenever it's a conversation, you can skip the he said, she
and I'll
said
do
bullshit.
Carson.
Yes, you will do
I'll
Carson.
do Carson, and then you do...
We're swapping places.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. A few days later, Camp Oakwood's first session officially began. Around 100 campers, aged 5 to 10, were dropped off by their families for the week-long stay. Julio and I watched from outside our apartment as the mass of children were greeted by a cheerful Amy and all of the counselors. So glad I'm not a counselor, I said.
You and me both,
Julio responded. After the staff finished their cringy introduction, the campers were all brought to their respective cabins to, I assume, unpack their belongings. Graham told us that on the first night of each session, there would be a big bonfire that was supposed to symbolize the beginning of the campers' time at Camp Oakwood. Graham put Julio and Carson in charge of setting it up, while Graham and I were to clean it up once the whole thing was done. A 50-50 split of work, as Graham liked to call it. At that moment, I was feeling mixed emotions. On one hand, I was still creeped out by the counselors and other staff, and I didn't know how bad the kids would be. On the other, however, I was really ready to start most of my work so that I could hopefully get my mind off of everyone's behavior around me.
Why wouldn't you just leave?
Right.
You're obviously
You're going into creepy
you're
sheds.
You're at a cult.
You're a janitor.
Literally in a cult.
I mean, there's so many janitor jobs out there right now. Go and get one.
Someone needs to clean up after the cult.
Go and get. Know your worth, bro. Thankfully, I didn't have to wait too long for that. While Julio and I continued chatting, Graham called us over the radio, telling us to hurry over to one of the cabins. Apparently, a camper had already vomited all over his cabin's floor and on some of the campers' bags, and we needed to clean it up.
I knew
Yikes.
a kid like that. Every
It just grew up
has
everywhere.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sick kid.
Yeah. Graham and Carson were already busy setting up bullseye targets at the archery station.
Great.
Yikes. Which meant that we, the rookies, would have to get our hands dirty. We grabbed the necessary supplies from the small maintenance shed that was located to our housing wing and hurried over to Cabin 5. We arrived to see about 20 campers and 2 counselors outside the cabin, holding their noses with their shirts from the smell. One camper stood away from everybody else. You could see stains on the kid's shirt from a mile away. You could also smell it from another city away. One of the counselors, who I had not yet met up to that point, came running on up to us. He was young as well, maybe my age, which is never established.
Oh, so he said he was 21.
It
was established.
Folks, take a drink.
Bongo y Veritas.
Bongo Veritas. Sorry. All right. Here you go.
Thanks for peeing in that cup.
Yeah, I really had to go. All right.
I've already called the nurses.
He said.
They're on their way. Okay.
Julio said.
Get the others away from the building. The last thing we need is someone else to get sick.
You're right. The counselor said before El Capitan did this like semi-racist thing with Julio before turning to the campers and the other counselor, but we have to stick with it now. All right, guys, we're heading to the main lodge. Paxton, stay here. The nurses will be here soon. Everyone else, let's go. With that, they briskly made their escape, leaving Paxton alone with us. We told him to stay outside while we walked toward the cabin. We had all of our cleaning supplies ready, but we had to fight the smell and the urge to vomit at the same time.
It's good.
Yeah. It's all right. What's going on? We finally got enough courage to go inside. After several long minutes, we managed to get rid of the vomit itself. The smell lingered, but not as strong as before. Really have to explain this. Just as we were walking out, I noticed a poster hanging on the wall above the bed directly next to the door. It was a replica of the painting hanging in the chapel. Hey, look at this, I told Julio while pointing at it.
It's just a picture of Horace Oakwood, the guy who founded the camp many years ago.
Now he's a vampire.
Yeah. Perhaps,
I like it.
Perhaps.
That's what Graham told me, I said. Some war hero.
Yeah.
Julio responded.
He defeated a powerful tribe back in the 1800s. They were heavily outnumbered and on the brink of defeat, but Horace mounted a tremendous comeback and managed to defeat the tribe. He was even stabbed in the back, but survived, and rocked a pretty neat scar for the rest of his life.
So he was a badass, I asked sarcastically.
Yep.
Julio said before we both laughed. Was he called Sharino? I asked.
Yeah, that was the nickname Horace made for himself. Horace claimed a warrior needs a unique nickname that separates him from the rest.
But why Sharino?
Honestly, no one really knows. He never explained how he came up with it. It was what it was based off of.
Interesting. I think it's dumb as fuck. I responded before grabbing my walkie to radio Graham. Hey, Graham, we just finished cleaning up the vomit. Now what? Oh, about 5 seconds later, Graham came over the walkie.
Okay, Carson and I finished setting up. We now need to go set up the rec center. Start heading over there.
Julia, that's excellent. Julia and I put the stuff back up and walked to the rec center. As I previously mentioned, the rec center was a small shelter that had games such as ping pong, foosball, and air hockey.
You did mention it in that order.
Yeah. There were also smaller games like checkers and chess.
Okay, you didn't mention that, you piece of shit.
That were set up on benches and tables. It was mainly used by the more quiet campers during the quote-unquote free time of the day, which was during the 2-hour interval for lunch. Well, it was supposed to have all this stuff. The problem was nothing was set up yet. When Graham drove us by the rec center, when we Graham drove us by the rec center the previous week, the doors were closed and the windows were tinted, so I couldn't even tell if there was stuff already inside. Graham told us what was in there, but he never told us that it wasn't set up yet. Graham explained that we needed to set it all up so the campers would begin using the stuff the next day. There was a small locked shed behind the rec center where all the stuff was kept. It took a while, but we managed to bring everything in and set it all up accordingly. While setting up, I noticed Carson taking glances at me. At one point, staring at me for a solid 60 seconds. I was already...
One could say a minute.
One could say a solid minute. I was already fed up by the counselors doing this, so I already knew I wasn't going to deal with this bullshit.
I like that he's getting angrier as he tells the story.
Yeah.
This
but
fucking
still
bullshit.
not doing anything about it.
Right, I like it. He's complacent.
Yeah, he's very complacent.
He's lazy. It's relatable.
I get it. However, given what happened in the chapel the week before, I didn't want to confront Carson on my own. So I stopped what I was doing and decided to tell Graham, who I found back in the shed pulling out a box full of board games from one of the shelves. Hey Graham, Carson will not stop staring at me. I don't know what his problem is, but can you please tell him to go stop?
Well, why don't you tell him you have a problem with it?
He asked me. I really wanted to explain that what I had seen the previous week in the chapel, but I bit my tongue, ow, and just told I was very creeped out by him. He could probably tell I was holding something back, but he accepted my excuse and told me he would handle it. He gave me the box of board games and left the shed. Here you go. As I walked out, I could see Graham and Carson talking, but couldn't hear them because they were talking quietly. In the end, Carson nodded and Graham walked back to the shed. True to Graham's word, Carson didn't stare at me again after that. Well, I at least hoped he didn't. After we finished...
He doesn't even know. He doesn't know if it's gonna happen again in the story. He's like, I'm making this.
I hope he doesn't.
I hope he doesn't do
Oh,
it.
well, there it is. Wiping my hands clean of this one. After we finished, we hopped back in the cart and drove back to our housing building. Graham dropped the three of us off and told us to keep our walkies on in case something popped up. He then drove off towards the main lodge building. Julio and I went back inside our apartment and decided to chill for the rest of the day.
That means smoke weed.
Absolutely. We had already eaten lunch earlier in the day before the campers arrived, so we wouldn't have anything else to do until the bonfire later that night.
Bongo y Veritas.
In Bongo Veritas. While I was on the couch waiting for some show on our really old TV, it was Adult Swim, Julio piped up from the small kitchen.
Wonder what made Amy hire a guy like Carson.
Beats me, I responded. Amy probably just hires anyone who's interested in working for this camp. He's a very weird guy.
I know. You know, I've noticed you're always very uncomfortable around Carson. Why is that?
What do you mean?
I saw you go complain to Graham earlier today about Carson constantly staring at you. I noticed as well, and was just waiting for you to do something about it. But even before that, you were already uncomfortable, and honestly, you looked a little scared every time we were around Carson.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Come on, man. It's obvious you're creeped out by him. You can tell me the reason why.
Up to that point, I hadn't told anybody about what I'd seen at both the chapel and outside our window. However, at that moment, I felt like I was trapped in a corner. Julio could tell something was up, so I needed to either come up with an excuse or spill the beans.
I'm saying Julio's a mole.
Oh shit. Yo, he probably
Julio is acting super cool with this guy.
Yeah, he's like trying to get
to make him comfortable.
Yeah.
He has to be like the everyman of this cult.
He's getting him high.
He lets these,
he's watching TV with him.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get in. He's trying to get the intel.
He's like the cleaner. He's like the pet sitter. You know?
Man.
He's the one who, yeah.
Yeah, asshole. After quick deliberation, I chose the latter. I needed help, and keeping it on my chest would only make it worse. So I ended up telling him everything. From Carson in the chapel to Amy, Graham, and Carson talking outside our window in the middle of the night. Julio just stared at me, taking in what I was saying. When I was finally done, all he said was,
"Wow.
I'm very creeped out right now, dude. I don't know why he and those counselors act strange around me. It's so fucking weird, dude.
Why didn't you wake me up when they were talking outside our room?"
Well, dude, I don't know.
Well, if something like that happens again, wake me up. Given that you just told me everything, I'm involved in this shit just as much as you are now.
He then went outside to smoke a cigarette.
I roll them myself.
Oh, what papers do you use?
I don't fucking know, I'm not a fag.
Oh. Such an asshole. I stood there wondering if what I did was the right decision. I mean, someone needed to know, and the more time I spent with Julio, I spent more time with Julio since we practically slept in the same room. But I could have told Graham as well, since he seemed to be on my side when I found him, Amy, and Carson talking outside my room the previous week. I made a mental note. Ding! To at least tell Graham when I had the chance, but I had to find the right moment to do so. Later that night, all the campers and staff gathered around the campfire. I ended up finding the counselor from Cabin 5, and I decided to formally introduce myself. To my shock, he didn't act surprised when I said my name. He introduced himself as Percy, before proceeding to tell me that he's been a counselor there since they moved locations.
I always like coming back since it's so much fun.
Percy said cheerfully.
Just being able to hang out with my other friends and giving the campers a good summer camp experience. How's it been for you?
Pretty good.
Well, good. It's always great to hear that staff members are enjoying it here.
I'm just hoping it isn't too chaotic with all these kids running around.
Oh, it isn't. These guys are the most
perfect.
behaved and peaceful kids you'll ever meet.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Most of them come from strict, well-to-do families, and they come here to get all gay and let it all out.
Whoa.
We only have to discipline maybe 5 or so campers every session.
How do you discipline
and
them?
none of it in the butt. And
Whoa.
none of it is ever major.
Okay.
Just a
so
couple
it's
of
not major in the
minor
butt.
scuffles on the playground or
Okay.
escalating arguments over the ping pong paddles.
Are you sure? Anything ever major? He paused, mulling over something in his weird head. After about 10 seconds, he continued.
Well, don't tell anyone I told you this, but there was one thing that happened a while ago.
Before he could finish, while looking me in the eyes, Amy called for everyone's attention. She was standing on top of a bench holding a small bell in her hand. Ding, 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 ding.
Hello, everyone.
She said enthusiastically.
For all of you who are returning for another fun summer, we're just glad to have you back. To those who are new, I would like to welcome you to Camp Oakwood. We are very glad to have you here all tonight, and I am looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you over the next week. We will pass out s'mores soon, but before that, we will sing the camp's official song, Don't Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears.
Beautiful song.
If you don't know it or are afraid of singing, then that's fine. But to those of you who do know it, feel free to sing along.
With that, She raised the bell over her head and shook it. The small bell sounded like 1,000 chorusing church bells. I stared in awe, trying to make sense of it. Everyone else didn't really react, as if they had expected this.
Yes, as usual.
Once the sounds of the bells deafened, she began to sing. None of the words sounded like English.
Great.
So I wasn't able to understand it. I have to admit, though, she had a beautiful voice.
She really does.
It was honestly so angelic that I looked up at her to make sure that she wasn't playing a recording or something.
Yeah, doing that Milli Vanilli shit.
Oh, baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Oh my god, that's beautiful.
Oh my God.
After I looked up, I noticed everyone, though only some were singing along, were all bowing their heads, well, except for one other person. As I panned the crowd, I saw Graham standing in the back, leaning up against the trunk of a tree.
I don't sing, it's gay.
We made eye contact with each other.
That's gay too.
I made a confused face,
Not as gay.
trying to figure out why he was away from everyone else.
Again, because the gay.
All he did in response was shake his head in what looked like disappointment, as I am in you. I then turned back around and bowed my face once again. Amy finished her song, and everyone looked back up at her. She then said excitedly, "It's time for s'mores," which was met by the cheers of the campers. I got up and began walking over to Graham. He met me halfway. What was that?
It's a small ceremony done at the beginning of the camp.
Graham said.
Amy loves music. She studied it in college and has always had a passion for it. So she likes to implement it at some points during each session.
Do you what language she was singing in?
I think Italian. Italian, but I could be wrong.
Graham told me I could get a s'more if I wanted one, but I told him I wasn't hungry. We just stood there, watching everyone else eat their s'mores before they began to disperse back to their respective cabins. As planned, Julio and Carson left, so Graham and I were the only ones who would be extinguishing the fire and cleaning up the remnants of chocolate and marshmallows. After cleaning quietly for a while, Graham broke the silence.
Real quick, I would have checked out of everyone who was singing if Julio was,
Yeah,
to see if I could trust him.
because how would he know the song?
Right.
Yeah.
If he was new. Yeah. I see you and Percy are getting along.
Graham said. Yeah, he's, pretty chill, I said. I looked up to see Graham smiling while throwing more detritus into a black bag.
You seem happy about that.
You seem happy about that, I said.
No,
He said.
I'm happy because the first night is always so full of joy. The rest of the sessions are just sort of bland.
Is it boring?
No, it's not that. After the first night, each group follows their own schedule, and each group straight up ignores the others. You would think most of the campers would branch out with those who are older and younger, but they stick together in their age groups like glue. Also, most campers aren't as happy at the rest of the session as they are on the first night. Probably homesickness or something. It's been the same for many years, and it honestly makes me a little sad to see it.
To be honest, I didn't think Graham could become that emotional or deep. Me either. My first impression of him was a stone-cold, hard-nosed man who did just his job and nothing else. Now he's starting to appear more human. I don't know why, but I was just fascinated by it. So fascinated by it that I forgot to tell him what I had told Julio hours before. We finished cleaning up not too long after and went back to our respective apartments. Julio wasn't there when I arrived, but his car wasn't either. So I guessed he'd left the campgrounds to do something. I didn't know if that was allowed once the session was in progress, but I decided not to do anything about it. Once I got inside, I did decide to take a shower. After spending about 10 minutes under the shower head, I turned off the water, grabbed a towel, and pulled open the shower curtain. I then took a shower. After drying off, I went to grab my clothes, but when I checked the countertop, they were missing.
Fuck.
I thought I had placed them on the countertop when I got in, but I don't know. I must have forgotten to. So I wrapped the towel around my waist again and started walking toward the bathroom door. That's when I noticed the bathroom door was was cracked open. I was positive I had shut and locked it, so my body immediately tensed up. My phone was in my bedroom charging, so if I had to call for help, I would have to build up the courage to get out of the bathroom. I eventually peeked my head outside the door, and when I did so, I saw no one in sight. Julio! I called out, hoping he was just pulling a messed up prank on me. I got no response. I peered back to my left and found my clothes on a chair next to the table. Damn it, I left him out here, I thought to myself as I reached for him. All of a sudden, a bright flash filled the room. I don't know why that's the noise for it.
That's okay.
I turned around and saw a hooded figure dressed in black and wearing sunglasses holding a camera. I cursed out loud in shock, and the hooded figure ran for the door. Amid the chaos, I had managed to grab the back of his hood, making the back of his head visible. Before I could do anything else, the hooded figure opened my door and ran out into the night. I would have ran after him, but I knew I was only in a towel and barefoot, and the ground outside was gravelly, so I knew there would be no chance I could get him. Although I didn't see his face, I knew who it was. I recognized him based off the blonde, fade-styled haircut. It was Percy.
Percy!
Percy!
Great.
Cool. This is part 3.
Switching it up again, part 3.
Sounds good.
Julio returned a few minutes later to find me shaking in terror.
Dude, you alright?
He asked worriedly. Somebody broke into the apartment and took a picture of me, I told him. It was Percy.
Who's Percy?
The counselor from Cabin 5.
Have you called the police yet?
Not yet. I guess I'm still in a state of shock.
Okay, I'm gonna call Amy. Go put your clothes on.
I grabbed my clothes and went back into the bathroom. Through the door, I could hear Julio on the phone. About 2 minutes later,
it's been
there
a
was a
little bitch
loud
again.
knock at the door, and Julio opened it, and both Amy and Graham walked in. Amy quizzed me on what happened, wanting to make sure that it was indeed Percy who broke in. Graham, meanwhile, sat there silently. After several minutes of questioning, Amy got up to leave. I asked her if she wanted me to call the police, but she said it wouldn't be necessary.
If I can get him to both confess and destroy the photo, then we should be alright. I can just send him home. Besides, if he didn't steal or break anything, all he did was just take a photo of you. I don't think the police should be involved.
Before I could even respond at all, she slammed the door, leaving the 3 of us in the apartment.
Sorry about this, Harrison.
Graham said. Hey, no need to apologize. You have nothing to do with this, right?
I know, but still, you're my employees. As your boss, your well-being is one of my priorities. Percy's probably gonna get fired.
I don't even know if it was him. All I saw was the back of his head, and Percy's hairstyle and its color was the closest one to it. I just can't believe Percy pretended to be normal around me, and not at all gay. I guess him telling me nothing major ever happening around here must have been a complete lie to gain my trust. Guess the same goes for the major event that happened a few years ago.
Actually, that part is true. Julio!
Graham yelled, causing me to jump.
Shit, sorry.
What? Both of them looked away from me, not saying a word. Julio already said it's true, so you guys might as well tell me now. Or maybe I should go and ask Amy about it. Before I could even move, Graham stood up and grabbed me by my arm with a very painful grip.
Do not make that mistake,
he said to me. I, now legitimately scared, just nodded, and he let go of my arm.
All right, I will tell you, but you need to promise me you will not tell Amy at all. Same with you, Julio, though I doubt you will.
Julio nodded while I remained silent. Graham sighed and then began.
5 years ago, a young camper named Sharon went missing after supposedly wandering off during a group hike. Amy freaked out when she heard the news and spent a full day and night searching for her alone in the woods. She didn't want to, but eventually she had to call the police. The camp was shut down. All the campers were picked up and taken home. They eventually found Sharon a couple of weeks later. Not going to go into detail on what happened to her. One of the counselors was arrested after his DNA was found at the crime scene. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity and was sent to a psych ward. Amy tried to reopen the camp the following summer, but not many families signed their kids up out of fear that something would happen again. So summer after that, Amy changed two things: have younger counselors and move the camp to a new location. She didn't change the name, though, as she really couldn't.
I thought you said the city bought the land out through eminent domain.
That's what she was ordered to say. She told us to lie so that we could move on from the tragedy. Amy, Carson, and I are the only ones left from the original camp, and she told us not to ever speak about it ever again. However, it's an open secret, so to speak, and many of the new employees either know about it or eventually hear it from one of their coworkers. However, if Amy found out we would still talk about it, she would have our heads on a silver platter. I already knew this stuff before I came here. Remember how Graham said it was at a different location? Well, the city Camp Oakwood was originally located in was actually my hometown. And that murder was the talk of the town. You heard about it, whether you wanted to or not.
So does this have something to do with why Amy doesn't want the police involved?
Sort of. She doesn't like the police being involved because she's afraid that any other crime, no matter how small it is, could ruin the reputation of the camp again. Camp Oakwood is actually one of the more popular summer camps in our region, so another criminal act could hurt us again. But for your case, I don't think so. Like Amy said, if nothing was stolen, and the only thing done besides breaking into the apartment was taking a photo of your naked back, then there would be no need. It's not a serious issue. I doubt she'll call the police for something as small as that.
So wait, why exactly does she not want new employees and campers to know what happened to that girl?
Would you want everybody to keep talking about how one of your campers was murdered by one of your employees several years ago?
I guess not.
That's what I thought. Look, sorry to come off so aggressively, but I want to protect my job and follow the rules. I could care less if someone else told you, but I refuse to talk about it anymore. Amy is a scary lady when she gets angry. In fact, I'm gonna go find her and make sure she doesn't do anything to Percy.
Immediately after saying that, he got up and left.
I'll talk to y'all later.
Wait, what did he mean by the fact that Amy couldn't change the name?
Oh, you don't know?
He asked me. Julio asked me. I shook my head and he continued.
Camp Oakwood is the name of about 30 camps across the world. Not the country, but the world.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They started the franchise of camps around 30 years ago. There's only one camp located in each country. 30 camps, 30 countries. We're like any other summer camp with one caveat. We only accept approved campers and employees. They must be from a select family and approved by the camp director of the camp they applied for. Makes it easier for the camp to run if we at least accept campers and employees who we know won't be a problem.
Maybe that's why all the counselors act so damn weird, I thought to myself. I guess me, Graham, and Julio are the only normal people that they've ever hired.
God damn.
Moments later, we got another knock on the door, and Julio opened it to reveal a police officer.
Harrison Tracy?
He asked. That's me.
I'm Officer Marino. I'm here to get your statement on the break-in that happened earlier tonight. Percy has already confessed and is currently detained. However, we want to get your statement about what happened. The more facts, the better.
Huh. Guess she did decide to call the police.
Here I am.
I thought to myself. I gave a brief rundown on what had happened, and Officer Marino thanked me and left.
All right, thanks. Talk to you later.
I was up nearly all night trying to figure out what Percy's motive was. Nothing appeared to be stolen, so I couldn't really say robbery was the main motive. I did come up with a crazy theory that maybe his motive was to take an indecent photo of me and then use it as some sort of blackmail. However, I wasn't completely naked. I was wearing a towel pretty much up to my belly button, and my back was facing him. All he would have saw was the back of my head, the back of my neck, and my entire back.
My back, my back, my back,
and my back, which kind of amounts to nothing. Eventually, I decided to just let it go and move on. Percy had been taken away. He was no longer a threat to me now. Jesus Christ. I should have said
So
just let him
dumb.
go because all he did was take a picture of my back.
It's fine.
No, take him off, coppers. I hope he rots.
It's like everyone's going to him and saying, "You're fine, this doesn't mean anything, you're good, bro."
We followed suit and ran over to the Chapelle. A few people were yelling for the nurses, and eventually we found Graham in the crowd and asked what happened.
Carson stabbed himself.
What?
That's all I really know for sure. I wasn't close enough to see it, but I've heard a couple of people say he was screaming while holding a knife.
A few minutes later, the nurses came out with Carson. The front of his shirt was stained red. Everyone stared in awe as he was carried towards the nurses' station. I noticed no ambulances or EMTs around, so I guess Amy didn't want them involved either. After the small hysteria ended, everyone went back to what they were doing. Graham told us we would have finish any work we still had that day without Carson, which thankfully wasn't too much. We ended up finishing around 2 p.m. As you can probably imagine, I was near my breaking point. In fact, I was very close to going up to Amy and handing in my resignation.
Fucking do it.
However, a part of me wanted to at least finish this session in order to get some money. I didn't care if it was much, but I would rather leave with some money rather than no money.
They have to pay
I've
you
come
something.
this far. Why stop
Seriously,
now?
you worked hours.
But still, I was seriously coming close to quitting. I'd had enough of the secrecy and weirdness of it all. At around 6 p.m., while I was still contemplating whether I should quit or not, I got a text from Amy.
Meet me at the house. I need to talk to you.
I sighed and began putting my shoes on.
What's up?
Julio asked from the couch. Amy told me to meet her at the house. I don't know why.
Probably heard about Graham telling you about Sharon's murder.
Haha, I responded and walked out. Amy lived by herself in a single-floor house on the other side of camp. After several minutes of walking, I eventually reached the house. I knocked on her front door and she opened up.
Good, you're here. Come on in.
She led me into her kitchen and told me to sit down, and once I was seated, she sat down directly across the table from me. So, why did you want me to come over here?
I wanted to check up on you. How have you been doing since Percy broke into your apartment?
I'm doing all right.
Glad to hear that. Would you like some coffee?
Sure. She got up and grabbed 2 cups from her cupboard, then grabbed the coffee pot. She began to pour coffee into my cup when all of a sudden she dropped the pot, spilling hot coffee all onto my shirt.
Jesus Christ.
I screamed out in pain from the hot coffee, and Amy began profusely apologizing for spilling it on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Harrison. I'm so clumsy.
It's fine. It burns like a bitch, though.
Well, here, give me your clothes. I'll wash them for you. It's the least I could do.
I didn't give up my shorts, but I gave her my shirt. I turned around to grab more paper towels to clean up the coffee on the table.
What's that on your back?
I asked her where on my back, and she pointed near my waistline, right where the waistband of my shorts were. I didn't even have to look in the mirror to know what she was pointing to. My scar. I got it when I was little. The reason why, though, is pretty messed up.
What do you mean? Are you Harry Potter?
I described to her what had happened. There was a wizard, and my mom was an idiot, and my dad was dead.
You forgot to talk about Hagrid.
Snape was gay. It was, without a doubt, my worst childhood experience. Flashback, flashback, flashback. I was 6 years old at the time. I'm not gonna read it.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
I was outside playing by myself in my backyard, kicking a soccer ball around. I would spend a lot of afternoons outside doing whatever I wanted. I had just kicked the soccer ball into the miniature goal I had when I heard the backyard gate screech open. I turned to see a red-haired woman with a scary face. Before I could even let out a scream, she charged at me. I don't remember much after that, but I do remember being rushed into the hospital and my parents crying hysterically. My back was on fire, and I remember seeing blood on my clothes. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too serious, and I was stitched up and good to go. My parents quickly moved to another town several hours away, which is where I still live now. The woman was never caught, even though my dad got a full view of her face. He said he didn't recognize her, and even though he met with a sketch artist, no new leads came of it.
So, you have no idea why this woman did this to you?
Not a clue.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'm gonna wash your clothes. I'll have a dry towel in the bathroom down the hall you can use to dry off. I'll be back soon.
With that, she walked off, and I went to the bathroom to dry off. After I got out, I saw another room down the hall with a bluish light coming from it. I looked inside to see the light was coming from a turned-on computer monitor. I looked at the webpage and discovered it to be a chat room. There were about 30 people in it, and I recognized a few names, including Julio, Carson, Percy, and Amy. Curious and a bit snoopy, I scrolled through the chat logs and eventually reached the week I had applied for the job. My body tensed up while I read what they were talking about. Given that I don't remember everything that was said, I'll try and recount the important bits of it. Some of the names I don't recognize, but I will state them anyway.
He hasn't called yet, but I hope he will soon. Based on the look on his face, he seemed very interested.
Awesome. Hopefully you hear back soon.
Raphael, has anyone found the right sermon yet? I'm tired of waiting.
Wendy, no. Andy just tried another one, but that one also failed. I'm hoping we find out soon. The world is a mess.
If he's who I think he is, we could do it.
Remember these traits. We have to carve it in the same way it was carved into Horus, and the same amount of time it took, and with the same angle of the crescent.
Xander, Kurt said the date of an important day in his life could correlate the pages of his book and the corresponding prayer. Julio, I know, but we've already tried the day of the battle and his birth and death dates and the pages corresponding to them. We'll have to keep digging. Maybe Kurt was wrong. I mean, we all remembered what happened, right? Shut up, Raphael. He was right in some parts, yet he was too much of a coward to admit I royally fucked up.
I scrolled down to another conversation, which was dated a few hours after I discovered them talking outside my window.
I'll figure out a plan soon. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm also currently thinking of a plan B in case the plan A doesn't work, though I highly doubt that will happen.
We have to make sure it's him, but we also have to make sure Graham isn't in our way.
If I see anything, I'll let you know. He just spilled the beans to me. Said he saw you three talking. Well, shit. Okay, stick to the plan. Everyone is coming in soon. We need this to work. So you were right.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's telegraphed, my man.
Very obvious.
The last message was right after that, and it was dated from the morning after Percy broke into my apartment. That morning. I figured out the first process. Haven't solved the other one, though. It's a different prayer, but I don't know which one specifically. I could feel my heart racing a mile a minute as I could feel my heart racing a mile a minute as I stared at the computer screen. I had a deep suspicion that there was more to Percy breaking into my apartment, and this seemed to confirm it. I looked up towards the top of the screen to find another tab open. I clicked on it to reveal a grid of black and white security cameras. My stomach churned when I saw one of a very recognizable bedroom, my shared bedroom. It was being filmed from the top corner of the room. I had never noticed it before, so it must have been hidden in the wall. There was a date and a time slot near the edge of the screen, and I decided to snoop through it. Sure enough, it showed me and Julio going through our daily rituals. I then noticed that one of the cameras was outside the housing wing on the corner of the building, which gave a perfect view of our front door. I decided to navigate to the footage of the previous night, and as I expected, Julio left a few minutes before I got back. It then showed me walking in and shutting the door. I fast-forwarded to about 10 minutes later. What I saw sent chills down my spine. Percy walked up to the door, but behind him was Amy. Amy stepped forward and used a key to unlock my door. Both of them went inside. A minute or so later, Amy came out and gave a thumbs up to Percy inside my apartment. A few minutes later, Percy sprinted out of the apartment, and a couple of minutes after that, Julio pulled back into the small parking lot next to the wing. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. The whole shit had been planned, by Amy. But why? I couldn't understand why. And then I realized, my scar. My scar would be the only noteworthy thing on the back of my body. However, I knew for a fact that my towel covered it up, considering how close it was to my tailbone. Also, my scar was a straight line. It wasn't that impressive. If anything, I thought to myself, Horace's crescent stab wound would be much more impressive than... But then it hit me. I couldn't believe that this little detail slipped into my mind. I never considered it important, and none of my coworkers mentioned it to me, although how seemingly obvious it was. Sharino is my name, unscrambled.
Oh, damn it.
That's why it sounds so fucking dumb. And I didn't realize.
Oh my god.
Before I could even process any more information, I heard Amy yelling from down the hallway, announcing that my shirt was ready. I shut off the computer and briskly made my way back to the kitchen. I made it just in time, because she arrived in the kitchen about 5 seconds later. I thanked her, trying to hide my fear as best as I could, and raced back to my apartment. I grabbed the keys and dashed to my car, only for my worst nightmare to be realized. My tires were slashed.
Damn.
I raced back inside the apartment, and Julio wasn't anywhere, but I saw his car in the parking lot. Honestly, though, I was glad he wasn't there. I saw his name in the group chat. He was in this shit just as much as they were. I didn't know what to do. My only way of transportation was now ruined, and I didn't know the woods well enough to try and run out into them. I was hyperventilating and on the verge of tears, so I drank some water and I began to plan out my next steps. I had to stay calm, but I also needed to be quick if I wanted to get out of here.
Gotta stay hydrated.
After about 20 minutes of debating what would be the best course of action, I decided I should at least call for help. Whether it was the police, my parents, or somebody, I went to grab my phone, but then I began to feel awful. My head started spinning, my vision blurred, and I began to feel sick and weak. That's all I remember before passing out. I jarred awake at an unknown hour. I didn't know how long I had been out, but it appeared to have been for a while, and I found myself on the floor near the couch. There were no lights on in the apartment, but I saw an orange light coming from outside. I cautiously peeked out the window. Outside, surrounding a campfire, were the counselors and the other staff. I saw Julio, Amy, and the other staff members I recognized all sitting around the fire, talking. Graham wasn't anywhere in sight, and neither was Carson, but I saw Percy near the back of the group. There were also no campers in sight. Before I could even react to try to figure out what the fuck was going on, my phone dinged. I checked my phone to see that it was a text from a number I didn't have on my cell phone. It read,
Get out of the apartment through your bedroom window. There's a bicycle located right outside the window. Take the path behind your building and bike towards redacted. Use your phone for directions. Make sure you're not followed.
Just as I finished reading that, I felt the familiar feeling of having eyes on me again. I didn't want to look up, but forced myself to. Everyone at the campfire was now watching me. They were all looking at the window, staring at me with hateful, evil looks on their faces. I immediately bolted toward the bedroom window and practically ripped it off the screen. Outside was a large yellow bike resting against the wall. I hopped on and started pedaling as fast as I could down the path, with it eventually leading me into the dark forest.
Damn.
End of part 1.
Ooh. I'm thinking we get into some human sacrifice shit.
Oh, we're definitely getting
We're on the
human
path.
sacrifice shit. We're a creepy cult that lures people in, and I guess some type of matron or something chose him when he was a kid, and
Yeah.
they've probably been like tracking him ever since.
Do you think Amy just got her hair dyed?
You think? Well, she said
Could've
the
been
woman.
her.
She said the woman didn't look familiar, or that
Okay.
at least, huh?
I don't know.
What about the woman who was murdered?
Could have been her.
Could have been her too.
Well, they could have thought it was her, and she actually. Oh, maybe you can pass on the scar.
Sharino.
Sharino.
How I didn't pick up on that. It's probably because I'm high.
He's so high.
Bongo Berrytas.
In Bongo Berrytas. Hey. Well, that's part 1.
How'd you feel about that part 1?
Well, it's very poorly written, but it's a joy to fucking behold.
It's very poorly written. How about our voice work?
You know what?
You're enjoying yourself.
I'm having a good time. I think you are too. Those are the vibes that I'm picking up on.
Do you need me to reinforce? Of course I'm having a good time reading stupid ass voices, stupid fucking story.
Can you confirm that again? Can you just
reassure you?
Can you tell me the ways that you're having a good time?
No.
No, okay. All right.
So anyway, that was
I'm having a good time.
Strange things are happening at Camp Oakwood. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Strange times at
Something
Richmond
weird
High?
is happening at Camp Oakwood. The life and
Something
times
strange.
of weird things at Camp Oakwood.
Right.
Get on down to Camp Oakwood because weird things are happening.
That's what it should be called.
Yep.
I hope everyone's having a good time. We're gonna jump into part 2 like fucking immediately, but you have to wait a week. So I hope everyone enjoyed part 1, and of course leave your comments, predictions down below. I want to see which of you are totally in tune with what is about to happen or not. We definitely think some cult sacrificial bullshit is gonna fucking take place.
But you're smarter than I am. Most of you listening. So
Bongo Berrytas.
In Bongo Berrytas.
So yeah, I hope all you fuckers are drinking your $30 bottle of wine and
sign up for the couch subscription.
And I want you to once again listen to Sofa King's who I didn't even fucking introduce this episode.
Oh yeah, by the way, I'm the Sofa King.
Yeah, and what's your shtick?
Well, I have a sofa store out in Lidditz, PA. It's in the middle of the state. Well, you know, when I say come down to the Sofa King store, I have a new jingle that I just came up with.
Hit
Okay.
me with it.
When you're feeling down, don't wear a frown. Come on down to Sofa King's store. It's gonna be great. We have couches in store, in our store, and so much more. And you're gonna be great because you get down to Sofa King's store. Come on down. That's the song. And that's how the commercial ends. I say, that's the song.
I wait till the day's end when the moon is high and it'll rise at the tide with the lust for life out. I'm as an army and we're running so hard and then we'll live across the land until we stand at the shore. I'll wait till day's end when the moon is high and it'll rise at the tide with the lust for life out. I'm as an army and we're running so hard and then we'll live across the land until we stand at the shore.